fortunately, I think, in the railroad industry, we've got economics on our side, and economics usually win out. I mean, we can move a ton of product 500 miles on 1 gallon of diesel, and that may be 3 times or so as efficient as trucking, and that may be why the railroads currently move, say, 42% of all intercity traffic. I don't think our percentage is going to go down, the railroad industry as a whole, no matter what the politics may be. It's just too compelling to move heavy traffic long distances over steel rail. And in terms of congestion, in terms of emissions, all kinds of reasons. So we've got a wonderful product, and there will always be struggles in the political arena between competitors in railroads and customers in railroads. It's the nature of the game, and there'll be some of that in utilities too. But overall, I like our position in that. They do have to be involved in politics. I mean, the railroads, all 4 of the big railroads, are going to be involved in the political process because people who would like to change some of the rules, either as customers or competitors, are going to be in politics too, and things will get decided in state capitals and more important in Washington of importance. So they'll have lobbyists, and they'll play a political game, and their opponents will. I like our position. It would be very dumb for the country to do anything that discouraged the railroad industry from spending the kind of capital that will need to be spent to take care of the transportation needs of this country in the future. If you think about the money that will have to be spent on highways and the costs involved in there, and the congestion problems, the emissions problems, and everything, the country has a strong interest in the railroad industry having every incentive to invest, and the railroad industry pays its own way. We'll spend $3.9 billion this year, and a lot of it will go to improve our present system an awful lot, and some will go toward expansion of a type, and the country will be better off on that, and the federal government will not write a check for it. Charlie?
Well, yeah, it's in the nature of things that there are waves of good breaks and bad breaks. Burlington Northern was enormously helped when you could double the container carriage by making the tunnels a little higher and the bridges a little stronger. And they were enormously helped when they found all this oil in North Dakota and there weren't any pipelines. And they will get some bad breaks too occasionally, where somebody will take away a little freight. But averaged out, it's a terrific business with terrific management. I don't think our main problems are political at all.
No. The railroad industry,
for one thing, we're headed by a prominent Democrat.
The railroad industry was, that may not be a help, Charlie. Right after World War II, now there was a lot of passenger traffic then, but the railroad industry, I think, had as many as 1,700,000 employees in the United States. And here we are today, there's less than 200,000. I mean, railroads have become so much more efficient. It's just by a huge factor. And it's a fundamentally very good way to move heavy stuff a long distance. I mean, it's hard to conceive of anything. It's nice maybe to have barge traffic, but you only got a few rivers that are going to lend themselves to real volume along that line. And so you have air, pipeline, vehicles, planes, trains. Trains are pretty darn good.
Given that you're now in IBM, are there any other entrenched leaders in technology that are, to use one of your terms, inevitable, in the same way that Coke and Gillette were? For example, is Google inevitable? Is it reminiscent of the advertising agencies you owned in the 1970s, i.e. a toll bridge on all digital spending that's highly likely to keep growing over time? What are the one or two things about Google, for example, that you think are real risks? And what about Apple?
Well, those are extraordinary companies, obviously. And they're both huge companies. They make lots of money. They earn fantastic returns on capital. They look very tough to dislodge where they have their strengths. I would not be at all surprised to see them be worth a lot more money 10 years from now, but I wouldn't want to buy either one of them. I do not get to the level of conviction that would cause me to buy them, but I sure as hell wouldn't short them either. Charlie?
Well, I think we can fairly say that other people will always understand those two companies better than we do. We have the reverse of an edge, and we're not looking for that.
Now he's going to say, isn't the same thing true in IBM?
Well, I don't think it is. I think IBM is easier to understand.
Yeah. The chances of being way wrong in IBM are probably less, at least for us, than being way wrong with Google or Apple. But that doesn't mean that the latter two companies aren't going to do, say, far better than IBM. I mean, but we wouldn't have predicted what would happen with Apple 10 years ago. And it's very hard for me to predict, what will happen with the next 10 years. There's certainly, they've come up with these brilliant products. There's other people trying to come up with brilliant products, and I just don't know how to evaluate the people that are out there working either in big companies or in garages that are trying to think of something that will change the world the way they have changed it in recent years.
And what do we know about computer science?
There's no reply.
How long do you think it will take China to appear a giant company like Coca-Cola? And in which industry you think it will be? Thank you.
How long will it take China to do what?
I didn't quite get that one.
Connection to Coca-Cola, yeah.
How long will it take China to do what?
Just how long do you think it will take China to appear a great company like Coca-Cola? And in which industry you think?
Well, China already has some great companies. It's hard to think of a great branded goods company, but China has some very great companies already.
Yeah,
Huluai, I can't pronounce them, but they've got some very great companies.
Yeah, so far, it has not been Chinese fast food companies that have been exported to the United States, as opposed to, we've got over 500 Dairy Queens now in China. We tend to export certain products well, some consumer products, entertainment products, that sort of thing. But China's got some huge companies, and they may eclipse in market value, some of the ones such as Coca-Cola that we're talking about.